What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Dan Banks, aka DJ Fine, COJ2. We are Jersey Magazine and Jersey Diamonds. I'm here with Nay. I'm here with Nay. Miss Road to Recovery. You know what I'm saying? She wrote her own book. I mean, we've known her for a long time. Like, this is like a reunion for us. You know what I'm saying? She has her radio talk show, the Confessional. We've been on there. Definitely going back, so stay tuned for that. We're definitely going back. So we're gonna get to know Miss Nay. You know what I'm saying? She wrote her own book. I'm gonna let you hold this. Okay. Very passionate book. A lot of different things, a lot of subjects, a lot of sensitive topics to talk about today. So buckle up, because we got some things to talk about.
You're making me nervous.
Don't be nervous. We got some things to talk about. We're gonna talk about the radio talk show, and we're gonna talk about the book. But we're gonna talk about the book first. So first, I want to get to know you a little bit, right? Get to know you a little bit.
So I'm a Scorpio.
Right.
28.
Right.
From East Orange, New Jersey. That's it.
Let's talk about this book. So, what was it like first thinking about wanting to write a book? Like, what is the first thought that came to your mind, just off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, the first thought is, who the hell is gonna read this? Okay. That was the first thought, because I don't know if it's a lady thing or just human nature, but you're so worried about who's gonna support you. Obviously your friends first, but it's always usually the other way around. Right. It's always strangers first.
Absolutely. Now, understanding the type of audience that you will be pertaining to, what kind of pressure did that put on you? Because I know it's that, like, when we get to the details of this book, you're gonna understand why I asked that.
It was just, honestly, I hope that I could help somebody. That's all I kept thinking. I hope that I could help somebody.
Right. Now, was it difficult coming up with the title? No.
Honestly, I had the title before the most important tragedy. Like, the title was there before everything even happened.
Right. Now, with everything that happened in your life, was it something that kind of sped up the process? Like, now I definitely need to get it out.
Yes. So, August of 2019, I lost my mom to a drug overdose, which still to this day I think was planned. Not by her, but
by how it happened, right?
Right. And after that, I was like, okay, I gotta hurry up and get this story out, because I knew that it was gonna keep happening, and it has to stop, like, somewhere.
Right. And obviously, in your book, you not only showed a little bit of a story of what has happened, but you were also talking about, like, how it happened. And then, like, the process of it, and going through it from the young stages to now, which a lot of people can relate to. A lot of people go through addiction and from a young stage, they don't know where to go to. So in your book, what would you say are some of the outlets that you were expressing, or different ways that you're saying would be easier now for people to express themselves and have those outlets for help?
So I believe at the end of the book, it's a list of hotline numbers or websites for anything: domestic violence, drug abuse, alcoholism, all of that. And also, when I was discussing the topic to my therapist when I first started, she let me know about the different the different stages
of change. Yeah.
Yes. And kids in the household of those who suffer from addiction. So it helped me look back into my life, like, okay, well, I definitely experienced that growing up. I had those traits as well. So it really gives you more definition and, like, why you were the way you were during your childhood.
Absolutely. Do you feel like society shames trauma?
Yeah, a lot of Black people are terrified to do therapy, and it was the best thing I've ever done for myself.
Right. And why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that there's a stigma on therapy and receiving help to get better? Like, why do you think that people are kind of, like, shunned, even though it could possibly be the best decision that they've ever made? That it's just like, look, like, you can get it one and done. It could be a little bit of a process, but at least it'll help you, it'll benefit you.
We just spoke about this on the reunion show on Friday, that from childhood, parents make little boys feel like they have to be the man of the house. They have to be strong. There's no crying. How can you expect a 9-year-old boy to be the man of the house? He's not a man yet.
Right.
So they grow up thinking, I don't have to show emotion. I don't have to go see anybody about why I can't communicate with my girlfriend. Like, it starts from childhood, and it's like a repetitive cycle from our parents. Absolutely. Really.
And then with the Road to Recovery book, you're also giving, even like just talking about even women, you're giving them a lane to say, hey, it's okay for me to go get help. It's somebody else is talking about the things that I'm thinking, right?
The book is basically, you are not what you've been through.
Right.
Like, and I learned that from having a normal conversation with my aunt on a Saturday night. Like, you've been through this, that, and the third, and you're not running the streets. Like, you trying to do something with yourself. And I'm like, well, I know what I've been through with my mom. I wouldn't want to, repeat that cycle. So, but some people just don't think that there's a way out, and it is.
Right. Actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. What is it about getting help, and not even just getting help, but in the sense of people thinking that they're going to repeat the cycle, so they're scared to get help from that beginning stage? So you basically get groomed into what you see, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, unless you kind of detach from those things. But if you're already attached at a certain way, it's kind of hard to detach from those habits. Mm-hmm. You got learned behaviors.
I was just about to say that, learned behavior. That's all it is.
It's learned behavior.
It's all you know. So you just think, okay, like, the situation with me and my mother is the same thing with her and her mother. And I always will ask her, you know that you've dealt with this with your mom.
Right.
There was days where you would go looking for your mother and you didn't even know where she was at. Why? Like, why repeat the cycle? It's all that she knew. As much as she wanted to be different and better, she was honestly the best mother she could be. She was there for me whenever I needed her. But the addiction was so strong, it's like a demon taking over you. It was literally, the more she fought, the more it took over her.
Right.
So it's like you said, learned behavior. They try to escape it, but that's all they know. When it's all you know, it's hard to leave.
And for you, growing up in that type of an environment, and to the stage that you're at now with the growth and some of the things you've learned and seen, how do you kind of differentiate, or how do you kind of detach from those types of habits, in a sense, or those types of learned behaviors? Or is it hard? Is it hard to balance? Like, sometimes it can just happen so naturally and you don't even realize it.
Exactly. It happens so naturally. So in the book, I talk about my struggle with alcohol. And when it was happening, when I was in the thick of it, I didn't know that it was an issue.
It's like a thing you thought, like, you just turning up and then,
right.
just relaxing.
I'm just being a teenager. I'm just partying.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, as I was writing the book, I was realizing, like, bro, you had an alcohol problem. Like, it was times where I was in college and me and my friends were literally drinking Monday to Sunday. Literally every night. Like, just getting wasted.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm thinking, oh, I'm just enjoying life. But I'm really trying to get over horrible breakups and dealing with my mom using and my father not being there because he passed away too. So it was just like an escape for me.
Right.
Now I know that if I do drink heavy, it's probably a day or two, and then I'll stop drinking for like a week or so, or even more. Like, recently I was drinking this past week, but before that I didn't drink for 2 months.
Right. So you balance like the purpose of
I just try to remind myself, like, you may have an addictive personality, so you have to be careful with that. Right. It's really about reminding yourself how you can get off balance. And that comes with the territory. That comes with the learned behaviors, like those certain addictive personalities. So even if you may have not gotten into, let's say, alcohol or something like that, it could have been something else. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's wow. It's scary.
It's
is scary because it really could have been something else. Like, I could have been sleeping around all my life. I could have been doing coke. Like, it could have been anything. So I'm not going to say happy that it was alcohol, because that's still dangerous, but I'm happy that I was able to step back. Right. Absolutely. I'm happy with it too. Absolutely. Now, after completing this book, The Road to Recovery, what was some of the feelings that came along with it? Like, was it like getting to those last pages, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing, okay, you're starting it, you get to a flow, you get to the middle, you're like, all right, this is getting real deep. But then, like, once you get to that end part, where it's like, you take that deep breath and you're like, ah. Oh, was it a deep breath? I might start crying, but It was a little bit of everything. It was, oh my God, I'm finally finished. I accomplished this. I said I was going to do it and I finished. You know, the feeling you get of accomplishing a goal is amazing. But at the same time, it was bittersweet because I had to relive my mom's death. And for me, she passed in 2019. I finished the book this past September. Yeah, I finished it
2020, yeah.
Right after her birthday, actually, which was September 1st. And reliving her death was hard. For me, it was reality at that point. Because before, it was just, it's been months that I haven't heard from my mother. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, okay, well, she's just doing that thing again mm-hmm. that she does. But when it's like you're in the house thinking about certain things that only she can answer, and you go to call and
mm-hmm. it's not there, right?
It's like you can't talk to her. So it was like at that point it was reality. Like, this is real. Like mm-hmm. she's really gone. Mm-hmm. So it was bittersweet. It was a good feeling to accomplish something, but I had to acknowledge the fact that my mother really wasn't here anymore.
Right. Absolutely. And also, with even that type of a factor of missing that missing piece of your mother and accomplishing something, you also gave yourself a vulnerable platform to basically be like, look, I'm going through a lot right now, but I'm also giving y'all something that you can relate to. So it's like you're being an outlet, showing that you're a strong black woman, but then you're also saying, I'm going through something right now. So I could definitely understand the bittersweet moment, you know, and to be able to express yourself. We thank you for being able to actually express yourself in that type of a content. But that cover, I want to actually talk about it. You can show it on camera, you know what I'm saying? So let's talk about the cover. Like, you have, that's you, right?
So this is Little Nay.
Okay.
And, you know, every time you see a cartoon, it's the devil and an angel on your shoulder. So honestly, the shout out to Frank. He's the one that did my cover. You can find it on the inside of the book because I don't want to mess up his whole name. Right. But I believe it's Frank.
Shout out to you, Frank. Shout out to you, Frank.
But he actually came up with the demon and angel concept because I told him, like, I wanted to be. I had a dream about the cover, honestly. And in the dream, it was me walking down the street. And it's dark outside and police sirens. And basically what you see every day in the hood and in the projects growing up. Like, seeing shootouts and everything was normal for me. Like, a shootout happened in front of me. I think the first time I was like 6 or 7. And I had a gun pointed to my head in high school and I didn't, like, freak out or nothing. Like, for me, that was normal. So I told him about the dream, and he was like, okay, well, I think it should be, you know, the good half of you and the bad half of you trying to get you through this road to recovery or whatever. And in the background is the projects where my babysitter lived, which is where I was attacked by a dog. Right. And that's, you know, police tape. Right.
Now,
like that.
Now, if you reflected back going through some of the childhood, because like you said, that's Lil Nay. And what are some of the things that you could say that you dealt with that were the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder? Like the good and the bad, like because clearly there was a balance that got you to this point.
So the bad for Little Nay, or the bad for Little Nay was really me acting out in school. Like, there were times, I remember so vividly, I think I was in 2nd grade, and this kid, his name was Perry, and he said something about my father, and I literally stabbed him with a pencil.
Jeez.
In his hand. And in, what was it, I think 9th grade, another kid said something about my father. We were watching something on TV, and it was like a monkey, and he was like, oh, that's your father. And I almost hit him with a laptop upside the head. Exactly. So, like, it was times where my anger
was a lot, yeah.
would get the best of me. And I told my mother, like, she always wanted me to seek therapy. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to a stranger about, you know, anything that I've been through. What do they know? Like, it was just one of those things where I was completely against it growing up. And the angel was always trying to talk me out of doing crazy things like that. So a lot of people don't know, but I don't like confrontation at all. And if you ask my friends, they would completely disagree.
Right.
Because they only see the devil's side of, well, they only seen past tense.
Right.
But there's a lot of times where I walk away from situations where I could easily have reacted
a whole different way. Right. And that's overall growth, like from now going through experiences and then seeing yourself like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't give my energy to this situation. And that also comes with, like you said, going to therapy. So now, like, what is the benefits for you for going to therapy, and why would you emphasize it's okay to do that and not to feel like you're being judged? Because I think a lot of people feel like they're going to be having like this big judgment on the back, like the therapist is going to be like, hey, you're in therapy. But in reality, that's not the case.
The most important thing with therapy, you have to find somebody you feel comfortable with and connect with. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. If you feel like they can't relate or they're looking at you funny while you're talking, see someone else. Like, it's really about shopping around first until you feel comfortable. Once you feel comfortable, the biggest thing for me in therapy that I loved was finding out my triggers. Mm-hmm. Like, that was honestly helpful because now I know how to react to certain things and how to respond.
Yeah.
So that was honestly the main thing for me. And then just crying. And the first time I cried in therapy, I apologized, and she was like, "What are you saying sorry for?"
Right.
And I was like, "I don't know."
That's the key phrase right there.
I was like,
"What do you cry? What do you apologize for?" Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. And she's like, "Girl, cry. Let me leave these tissues right here and just let it out."
Right.
And it was like the first time after my mom passed that I just let it all on the table. Like, I just boo-hoo, snot, everything. It was ugly.
And I feel like that's something that it's okay to emphasize. Like, it's okay to let out emotions. Obviously, in a comfortable environment, but you have to, because what happens when you build so much in? What happens? I know you can say what happens when things are right. You start writing books.
Definitely is what happens when you hold that in. I tell the people in my life all the time, please don't hold it in. Please don't hold it in. Please don't hold it in. Because you let all that build out, and it's hard to explain. You become what you don't want to.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
You become what you don't want to, and the demon takes over, and it's just like, you know what, since you're so, like, it can be one small thing, and you just let it build off that, and now a single conversation can go left just because your cup's run over already. Mm-hmm. So I would say definitely, if something's bothering you, speak on it.
Absolutely.
Like, there's times where I'll have conversation with my boyfriend, and he'll be like, it's not that serious. And I'm like, look, I've been in relationships before where I held my tongue all the time to the point where when it finally came out, I would explode. Mm-hmm. So it's important for me to express how I feel in the moment, mm-hmm. because I know if I don't, it's only going to carry over and it'll drive me nuts.
Absolutely. Did y'all hear that? Make sure you express yourself from the door. Do not carry out nothing.
And I know a lot of people say it's good to hold your tongue sometimes in relationships, but if that's not for you, don't listen. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lady go viral on Instagram before, and she was like, well, my marriage worked because I don't run my mouth. And I'm just like, well, I don't know what to tell you, because if I feel some type of way, I'm going to say it.
Right.
Because then I'm not being who I am if I'm holding on to it just to make you happy. We got to meet somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely.
So.
And that goes into the confessional. So as you guys know, she is one of the hosts on the Confessional, right? So make sure you go check that out, because it's definitely coming back and it's going to be crazy. But what's the type of conversation now, with now you being a published author? What is the dialogue or the dialect now that's going to come about with the talk show now?
So what I want to introduce to the show, because before it was just raw love, sex, relationships.
For real.
It was anything crazy we've ever done out in the open, put it all on the table, we don't care. But now I want to introduce how your past trauma, relationships with family and significant other, and how it can affect your relationship and love and stuff now. Yeah,
that's amazing.
For the most part.
That's amazing. And now, will you be emphasizing certain parts of your book into your talk show now?
Absolutely, because since I've released the book, so many people have come to me and told me that they experienced certain trauma too that I would have never, guessed. So I think it's important to bring certain aspects of the book to the show.
Absolutely.
So people are like, you know what? I thought it was just about, the nasty part, with the show. They're actually deeper than that, which we've always been.
Absolutely.
We just never curved it before.
Absolutely. Now, are we expecting a Road to Recovery 2? What's the future plans, Miss Author?
So there is going to be another book. I don't think it's going to be called Road to Recovery 2. That book is mainly going to be about how losing my father at a young age impacted my relationship with men, and certain things that happened to me as a kid that you'll read in Road to Recovery, how that also impacted my relationship with men.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. There's a lot going on. Like I said, we got Miss Nay in the building, man. Please tell me they can purchase the book, follow you, all your tags, everything.
So, you can find the link in my bio at 50 Shades of _NAI to purchase Road to Recovery, because Amazon likes to take all your money, and I'm a struggling artist, so I need all my coins.
Tell them.
That's it. If you want to view the reunion show for the Confessional, that is also in the link in my bio. You just have to click on the Confessional reunion show.
I love it. You heard it first. Amazing in the building. Road to Recovery. Make sure you go check out that book. Go buy it on Amazon, or just go ask her for a person and give her all her coins. You heard it first, man. We got Jersey Magazine.